we live?
We are live this time. What happened? Where am I?
Well, hi everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Carvers and Creators, a weekly demonstration and discussion with sculptors, carvers, and multi-talented artists from around the world. If you're a fan of the show and you like what we do, make sure you give us a like and a follow on the platform you're watching us on. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Let's meet the artists.
Oh, well, why not? But we're here.
Well, we're here. Well, first of all, the big fella on the right over there is my good buddy. He is an amazing sculptor and artist from Tucson, Arizona. It's Mr. Matt Harper.
Howdy, guys. Happy Thursday. Good to be here.
Did you say happy birthday? Happy birthday.
Oh, happy Thursday.
Oh, happy Thursday. Birthday Thursday, whatever. My name is Paul Dever. I'm an artist and sculptor from Boston, Massachusetts. And our guest tonight is an amazing illustrator, toy designer, and sculptor with over 30 years experience in the business. Tonight, we're hanging with James Groman.
Hey, howdy, everybody.
Good to see you.
Good seeing you guys, man. I'm a fan of the show, so it's very cool to meet you both, even though it's virtual.
Blushing.
Yeah.
Huge fan.
But Paul, I met you at Monster Palooza, right?
Yes, sir, with Mr. Newman.
Exactly.
Newman.
Standing in a closed bar.
Yes, well, we were trying to unclose it, I believe, at the time.
Yeah,
we were trying to find a loophole.
The conversation was so good, we still hung out, even though they were closed. So,
yeah, well, it was a pleasure meeting you then, and it's a pleasure re-meeting you again now, getting to hang out for real instead of at the end of the night. You know, we could keep this going till the bars close around here.
Why not?
Why not? I mean, that's a long time for you fellas because you're 3 hours. Well, you're only an hour behind me, right, James?
Oh yeah, I'm in Cleveland, so
that's like a day and a half behind me. It feels sometimes.
You know, a lot of the bars close early these days, so
yeah, they do. Well, I can't stay out that late anymore either.
If I am, I'm working more than likely.
That's right. Well, chaos equals cash. Well, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here. We are really excited. We've been trying to get you. This is season 5. I think I've been chasing you for a couple of years now, and I finally caught you. Like you said, I got a nice conversation with you, and I'm like, I got him. But boy, we have been fans of yours for years, so this is a real treat for Matt and I. So thank you very much for joining us.
Oh man, like I said, my pleasure, man.
So what we usually do on the show is the last show we always take a carving challenge, and on the next show we reveal what the results were of the carving challenge. We had a couple weeks off. Matt and I are very busy during pumpkin carving season.
Oh yeah, imagine.
Our last challenge was a chipper zombie. I think it was a chipper zombie.
I think that was it. Yeah, a chipper zombie, or a giddy zombie, or I think chipper.
I think it was chipper. I think. Wait, it's still on the board.
Chipper. Yeah, that's right.
That's amazing.
I made the mistake and made it get giddy, but I love this guy. That's a really good one there, Paul.
Thanks. I don't know if he's chipper, and I don't really read him as a zombie, but
he looks like a little disheveled. He's falling apart. He's got
he's in like that early phase of zombiness, like not the
just been freshly bitten.
Yeah, like he's just trying to figure it out. Like, it felt good at first, like maybe he got bit on the ass cheek, and he was kind of like, "Oh, hey, I'm chipper about that," and then he just went down the wrong path.
Now, when you guys get expressions like this, you're using photo reference, or are you taking photos of your own face? Are you looking at a mirror or anything?
No, you know what I actually had to do with this, because like I was saying, October's super busy for us, is I had to finish this at a live event during the day with like people around me. And I had only kind of got the blocking phase done of like the structure. So all the expression came at the live event I had no downlighting or anything. So I was kind of flying blind. I wish I could have used a little bit of photo reference, but then you have a bunch of kids pointing it out. Hey, he's looking at something.
Well, it's kind of like you see comic artists that their anatomy is so good and they're not looking at anything. They just have been doing it so long and just have gotten good at it. So that's obviously must be what's going on here. Because
we start the whole thing anxiety ridden because we have the wheel, which you'll meet in a minute. It kind of we don't get while we're talking to you and kind of getting these started. We don't have the ability to really do any reference checking, but we certainly go into it later if we need it, if a nose wrinkle or we'll. But certainly, what we found is it kind of forces you to have to think of an expression and how the face will move based on it at the beginning, at least for the blocking part, for sure.
Yeah, but unlike clay, you can't fix it. You know, it's like
you can't fix it. It's in. You got to go in.
Yeah.
It's certainly unfixable.
This was my chipper one. I kind of went a little cartoony with it. I wanted him to kind of have a like somebody ripped his face, and that's what his zombiness is starting, and or how it really got into it. But yeah, again, I definitely a little bit more cartoony, that's for sure.
I love it, man.
The cutest zombie I've ever seen.
Isn't he something?
So chipper.
It's awesome.
Kitty. Like the undercut you did around the side and everything, and it's got so much depth. Like there's so much shadow in it. It's so cool.
Oh, thank you.
I think it works better because it's cartoony too, because it's almost like it has, if it was an illustration, it would have the thicker lines in certain spots that really make it pop.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I kind of like it. I'll take it. Yeah.
It almost looks like you washed it with like a darker ink and then, cleared the surface and just let it sit in the cracks. Is that what you did, you cheating bastard?
No ink was used in this process at all.
It's awesome. It's good.
Wow.
So good.
Really impressive.
Thank you, guys. Damn it, I'm gonna start
That
crying.
could be the star of a little children's book.
Yeah, totally. The chipper zombie, Love it.
Well, on that note, we'd like to introduce you to the third member of Carvers Creators, responsible for our carving challenge tonight, and like Matt said, our anxiety through the beginning of it. It's the Hello Wheel and the Center Spinner, whichever you want to call it. It answers to both, and I will let you see it now. Ta-da! There she is. There's a wheel. Oh, her glory.
Magnificent.
No, she's such a doozy.
She is.
So what we're going to do is we're going to spin it twice. The first time we spin it will be the character to which we have to try to carve, and then the second spin will be the attribute or emotion we have to apply to the character. So our choices tonight are fantasy, witch, old age, guest choice, so have one ready, vampire, troll, werewolf, ghoul, frank, or zombie. Second spin will be angry, smug, crazy, guest choice, robust, sour, sleepy, chipper, scared, or surprised. And if it lands on witch again, I quit.
And for guest choice, I mean, do I choose from the wheel or do I
You can choose
from
from
anything?
Anything. See, that's a great question.
Come on, guest choice.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've seen weirder things. Here we go. It's a troll.
Ooh,
Right.
Okay.
Interesting. All right. A smug troll.
Oh. Here we go.
Space beast.
Hello, Groman. Yeah, there you go.
Howdy, Space Beast.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's I can only do that now in his voice. So.
Seinfeld voice.
Yeah, of course. All right, let me get that I have it to commit it to the chat here, and it's a smug tonight.
Smug troll.
Tonight.
How does one?
Yeah, some of those are pretty. They're kind of subtle, kind of an emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be with the eyes. I always feel like it's got to be with like something in the eyebrows, like, how's it going? That's right. I invested in crypto back when no one did it.
I'm better than you. Okay, there we go. Now we've committed to the chat. That means we actually have to do it. Yes, and so shall it be.
I like how you put smug in all caps too. Like that means.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
So, guys, I will not be sculpting tonight because it either would be a really terrible sculpture, or it would be a really terrible interview. Because I have a lot of trouble talking. I used to do drawings at shows and stuff, but it's so hard to talk to people while I'm trying to get a drawing done. The drawings would take like 6 hours to do because I'd stop and talk and everything. So I'll be watching you guys.
Yeah, we have so much of your stuff to show everybody. I think we'll be very busy, very active this whole time. No sweat.
Yeah, we won't be getting much done either. Believe it. We'll be watching your stuff and listening to your stories. Like, oh, that's right.
Because you spent the next week getting it finished, right?
Yeah.
Get the sculpture finished.
We have to have it finished before the next show.
Yeah.
So that's the rule. Like you can't show up and be like, oh, I have nothing to show. It's like it's got to be done.
Yeah.
Because it is like this. When you're first, whether it's an illustration or a sculpture, the blocking phase can take a long time.
Right.
And it's almost like the fun part is the detail and the wrinkles and all the little nuances that you throw into it to the asymmetry and just the cool stuff that goes into it to finish it off. I'll get lost in that on a
Oh, yeah.
parachute item for 3-4 hours and just be like, all right, I gotta call it.
And I guess I've watched a few of your shows, but I haven't noticed. Do you guys do any sketching on the pumpkin to like
No.
kind of map things out? Is that cheating? Would that be considered kind of a
No,
cheat?
it's probably called smart.
Yeah.
Because I haven't carved a pumpkin in a while, but not even this last Halloween. But I remember I used to draw them all out before, and that's like when I sculpt. I have to have a concept sketch of some kind, a design sketch, or an underdrawing when I'm doing a painting and stuff. So a little bit more timid to just go at it.
It's smart, and I'll tell you the truth. When I do get commissions from if it's a big client or something that really wants something specific, I will take a grease pencil for proportion wise, just to know where I have to clear the surface. You know what I mean? If I just start hacking away at the surface and be like, oh, I just removed so much more than I needed, now it's not going to look right. But yeah, I think Matt and I just sort of jump out of a plane without a parachute sometimes.
Yeah, but that's what makes it even more impressive.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you think so, because I know the two of us are like, holy shit, what are we doing?
Like that first, I know that Matt, you showed your pumpkin. I saw your pumpkin earlier, and it's like the minute you see it and you see how it's going to rest on the ground, I could start getting ideas of where I might go with the face.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the shape has a lot to do with inspiring you.
It really does. People always ask, hey, do you, like you said, you sketch on it, you plan it out, and the shape really does talk to you. And like this thing, I have to make it into a smug troll, but I'm like, oh, I can kind of see one. It just already has that. I mean, I'm just started squeezing away at it, but it's got that really cool like look to it. He's gonna be anyway. It is the only methods we know. But when it comes to the stuff you do. And the kind of we're subtractive, you're in more of an additive world, right? I'd love to kind of maybe jump into what got you started. I mean, that's always a fun question.
Time out. I don't want to stunt that.
Paul's got a good point.
We don't want to curse the show with bad luck. So we have to do our weekly toast.
What am I doing, man? I am having a rough day today.
You haven't drank enough, my friend.
That's the problem. Okay.
No, so before we start, we like to go around the horn and see what everybody's carving oil is. We call it our carving oil because it gives us a little inspiration, the libations, and gets the shoulder joints lubed up and gets things flowing. So we'll go around the horn quickly,
Thank you.
And then we will cheers, and then all of our sculpts and conversations are blessed.
Yeah, there we go. I like it.
That's just added. It's just the law of the universe. I didn't make it.
It's the right thing.
It's the right thing to do. Maddie, why don't you start us off?
Okay. I know our friend James is a connoisseur of the brown water, and so I went and instead of going with the beard this time, I decided I was going to grab a bottle, and this was on my shelf. And so I'm gonna give this a test.
You pass that to me.
Hey, hang on. Yeah, ready? There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna give this thing a test spin. It's Angel's Envy. So if Angel's Envy is watching, please, sponsor us from now on. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Or eventually, if you drink enough, we'll have a different kind of sponsor.
That's true. Yeah.
You got a cool coin that goes with it, though. From what I hear.
That's right. How about you, Paul? What are you having?
All right. So mine's a two-part story because I cracked my original one. Well, my wife, Lenore, had collected a bunch of great beer throughout the month of October, and I was very grateful for it, but I haven't had time to enjoy any of it until tonight. And the first one that you got me was a bourbon pumpkin pie cider from a brewery called Highland Cider in Plymouth, Mass. Really cool can.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it was delicious until I dumped it all over my carving table.
Oh, just now.
So, like you do, I pivoted and I opened another one. This is called Trippy Treat. I don't know where it's from. All I know is, and listen to this one. This should come with a Pepsid. It's a fruited sour with pink starburst. 7.3 by volume. From Bear Tree Brew. 7.3 sour. That's really high.
A can full of ulcer.
Exactly.
It should just be called GERD.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be delicious. I don't want to shoot it down yet because it smells unbelievable. But I digress.
What are you having tonight, James?
Well, speaking of GERD, Woodford Reserve Double Oak, which is kind of my brand of choice. Which I probably shouldn't have brought the bottle in here. It should stay in the shelf. So I only have
exactly. So you can't have any more.
Keep it away.
Yep. But I brought it in just because I wanted to show it off. Just
that is cool as hell. Yeah, that's the good stuff.
Yeah. So
love it.
Fantastic. Well, cheers,
okay, now,
gentlemen.
I was gonna say now we can actually do the official. Yeah.
Now we can.
Cheers,
now,
guys.
jumping the gun. Hey, look, I want to get to his stuff. I'm sorry.
Hey, listen. I was right there with you. If I hadn't been reminded of all the beer all over my desk right now, I probably would have skipped it too.
I'm not pouring it all over myself. I am a complete mess tonight. But let's get to.
That is delightful. It's not very hot burny yet. Like we discussed earlier, it might be good for one.
Wait till the 8th sip.
Oh yeah.
All right, now let's hear. I just kind of. This is a good one to start with because it covers so many different things. I mean, you just talked before the show started about your Frankenstein. I'm sorry, you went to a Godzilla fest recently, but so again, I'd love to know kind of your origin story related to what got you sculpting as a kid and what brought you up to now.
Well, when I was a kid, I was totally into monster movies and cartoons, and I was the kid that back in the day we had like 3 channels. I mean, here's where we go back in time, and I'm really going to be, dating myself, where we had 3 channels, black and white TV. We had Hanna-Barbera cartoons in the morning, which they had this thing called it was a Hanna-Barbera Power Hour or something like that, but it was way longer than an hour. It was like they had Space Ghost and Galaxy Trio and Herculoids.
Yep.
Just amazing. Frankenstein Jr. And I love that stuff. In fact, a lot of my illustration work nowadays, people kind of say that I'm still to this day channeling that stuff. And I totally see it. I mean, that's what I was raised on. They were so imaginative. I think that was it. It's one thing to see, Mickey Mouse, little cute mouse character, but there was a guy, Alex Toth, that was a well-known comic book artist that's how he get his start. He was designing a lot of those shows, and he was coming up with the concept for them. They're just crazy. It's the Herculoids, which is a bunch of these. It's a family that has these crazy alien animal pets, and they're all.
Oh yeah.
And then I love monster movies, and a lot of them as I got a little older, I'd stay up a little bit later, and I'd watch a lot of late night creature features and stuff like that. But then at one point, I started to. When the movie was over, I would draw them. Try to remember what the creature looked like. Try to remember what the monster, if I could draw him from memory. And then at one point, my mother and father were very encouraging. My dad was a basketball coach. He was more on the sports end. He didn't really get what I did, but he was not a guy that ever kind of like, pushed me away from it or anything. But my mom was one that she'd come home and she'd have some new pencils and paper, and she one day showed up and she had it was plasticine clay, and it was all multiple colors, real bright, orange, blue, green, purple, whatever. And I used to I would sculpt the monsters I would see in the movies, only I would use yellow for the teeth, blue for the body, eyes would be white clay. So I'd break them all down based on the colors of the clay, and I would sculpt these things. And I started to build I would get a book and I would lay it on the floor, and I would actually build a whole jungle on the back of it. And I would have somewhere for an environment for this creature to live in. So as I got older, I got more into illustration than sculpting, kind of got away from sculpting, and went to school for illustration. After high school, I went to college and studied illustration, and really loved character design and creating, unknown worlds. I didn't really like drawing from life. I drew from life because it helped me with my anatomy a little bit and stuff. But I did a lot of science fiction type of monsters and horror and comic book work. And my teachers were they were more editorial artists. They didn't really know what to do with my type of art. But I wanted to design movies and stuff. That was my main goal. I wanted to design, back in those days, I was following Ray Harryhausen, Rick Baker, a lot of makeup guys. I love their work, and I would read about seeing that a sculpture would lead to a lot of these creatures and monsters, and they always had to be designed by an artist before they were created. So I wanted to do that. But when I graduated from college, I was going to go to the West Coast, was interested in going out there, just hitting the pavement and taking my portfolio around, which I did. I did get a job offer from a graphics studio on the West Coast, but I didn't really want to do graphics. They did movie posters and stuff like that, but I really wanted to get into film. So I came back home to Cleveland and got a job offer from a company called Those Characters in Cleveland. And they were part of American Greetings, and they actually were the company that we were talking about it earlier. They created My Pet Monster and Mad Balls, and Care Bears is their big game. It's still going strong, making millions of dollars. They're still located. The company that's doing them is still located here in Cleveland. And Popples, I think what other big brands, and Strawberry Shortcake was another one that they created.
Talk about monster movies, Strawberry Shortcake, and
oh yeah. Well,
you had the Blueberry Pie Man. He was scary as shit when I was a kid.
Yeah, and they at the time, that's how they started. They started doing cute stuff, being a greeting card company.
Yeah.
But then they had a bunch of guys that worked there that they could draw a really cute Care Bear, and they could draw Strawberry Shortcake, but they were monster fans. They all loved monster movies and everything. So they kept pitching ideas that were more monster based, more, based on, some of the movies that they loved and some of the comic book artists that they loved. And so that led to like Mad Balls and My Pet Monster being created. And I was actually hired there right when Mad Balls was starting up to work on Mad Balls. So I was lucky enough to be living in Cleveland when they needed, a lot of my teachers would say, you draw really great monsters, but you're going to have to find somewhere to work, somewhere to make a living, and you're not going to be able to draw monsters all day. So I got hired by Those Characters in Cleveland, came in and drew monsters all day, which was, I guess I'm a little spoiled. That doesn't happen to everybody, but it happened to me. So that was the launch pad. When I went into TCFC, I was probably like 25, 26 years old, and it was boot camp for toys. It was like they had a small staff. They were a greeting card company. So a lot of the guys that came to do these toys, they were greeting card people. They didn't know anything about toys. They learned it from just doing it and working with factories and everything. So I was learning along with them while they were learning the process. And since we had a small staff, so I was able to sculpt, I was able to illustrate. We did packaging design. It's like a lot of times most companies are kind of set up where there's departments. There's a sculpting department, there's an illustration design department, then there's a packaging department. We did everything. So once again, being spoiled, I was learning so much at this place. It set me up for the rest of my career. So
we talked to, just to chime in, you mentioned like having to learn kind of everything, and Ted Haynes, a pal of ours, talked about the same thing. If you can master a whole bunch of different things, or you're forced to, then you're a lot more marketable. Plus you can kind of get everything done, as opposed to just be like a one trick pony and kind of have to hand off your work to somebody else to get it done. When you can get it all done yourself, you're a lot more marketable, and you're more of a company guy for sure. You can do a lot more than just one person can do.
Absolutely. And I think, but there are some guys that are just such masters. Like,
of course,
I think when I worked at Hasbro, they had a sculpting department full of some of the most amazing sculptures you ever saw. They all worked in wax. Most of them worked in wax. Now they're all digital, but they were so good at that's what they did all day long. But yeah, I'm totally in the camp of when I taught at Cleveland Institute of Art for a while here in Cleveland, which is the school I went to. And I would tell my students that, and I would get in arguments with some of the other teachers because I believe they needed to be well-rounded and be able to do whatever was called upon them to do. And other teachers said, no, you got to be known for a specific thing and specialize. And that's what they're going to come to you for. And I'm going, and all I can think is, what if they don't need that particular thing? They need to come to you for be able to do anything. And I am a believer that you could be pretty good at a number of different things too. If you're an imaginative person and you're a creative, and you work hard at your craft. So definitely agree with that.
Love it. We go ahead, Paul. I'm going to pull
some of the other artists that were with you in the beginning. Were they sculptors as well, or more illustrators because it was more of a greeting card company?
Well, it just so happened. I was going to ask you guys about this anyway, but there was a gentleman that was working at those characters in Cleveland right when I was hired, and he was a guy that I had been hearing about in Cleveland. And you're probably going to recognize his name. I'm sure you're going to recognize his name, but his name was Tom Keebler. And
God, yeah.
Yeah, so
amazing.
yeah, he was working at those characters in Cleveland when I was hired, and so we became fast friends. And I just talked to him just the other day. We go down and visit him every once in a while. We went to Mask Fest in Cincinnati just a couple months ago together and stuff. So still very good friends. But he was there, and this dude was, I mean, he was building little critters from. He would find a dead animal. And he would set it by the side of the road in a bag and come back and get it 6 months later, so he could use the bones and stuff.
Wow.
Sculptures.
Wow.
And he was doing amazing stuff. So I guess that was one of the great things about these those characters in Cleveland. Amazing illustrators. A lot of them were older than me. They were probably like 20 years older than me. So they really knew their craft. And I watched them, and I tried to be like them, and they raised my game. Being around Tom, of course, anyone that knows Tom's work, he's amazing, and he raised the quality, and he made me want to pick up. I remember it's the first time I discovered Super Sculpey. He was using Super Sculpey, which I still think he uses that as his
he does, yeah,
medium, and so I discovered that, and the minute I discovered that, I still use it to this day when I'm doing a traditional sculpture. So yeah, it was like having access to all these people that were so good at what they did. They had a guy that ran the shop that was a master mold maker. I never was interested in making molds, but I learned how to do it.
Right, because you can. Right.
Yep.
And you're around people like that. I mean, especially like Tom. Holy crap, this stuff's ridiculous.
Yeah. Next time you talk to Tom, tell him to find some time to join us.
Have you ever tried to contact him for the show?
I have. We were in contact for a little while, and then something happened where he was busy or something had come up, and I told him I'd check back in with him, and we just haven't. He
gets commissions from some big names and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
gets very busy. Does some conventions. I'll talk to him.
And this is a completely voluntary hang.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why we are always like unbelievably grateful and pumped when we get great artists like you to join us and start telling us these crazy ass stories, and then leads into you and Tom hanging out killing animals. I mean, I know that's not what you said, but I'm assuming that's what happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's probably not the strangest story that he could tell.
We used to tip cows into the grave we dug an hour earlier.
Really?
Well,
I guess I could do a huge cow sculpture if I had that kind of time.
Wait, I got to talk about this only because I'm fascinated about it, and you're nice to share a couple extra photos, so I'm kind of weaving through them for folks to take a look at in the meantime. But tell us about this, because I know you're just starting to work with these guys, and I'd like to know kind of the backstory of this creature, but also your work with this new company.
Yeah, this actually is, I mean, anyone that knows me knows I'm a huge fan of the Creature from Black Lagoon. Anyone that's into monsters and, famous, like Universal monsters and everything like that, that's usually everyone's favorite. That's kind of their go-to. It's one of the great designs of all time and one of the great monster suits ever created. And this guy's definitely channeling a lot of the Creature from Black Lagoon. What's funny is this was a sculpture I did in clay, or in Super Sculpey, probably about 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it was for a different company. I did it for a company that I had done a number of sculptures for that was located in Japan. They held on to this sculpture for a while. They had it for about 1.5 years, didn't do anything with it, and kind of started to switch to gear their company more toward cute designs and more cute creatures and stuff, because it's a very big market in Japan. So this guy sat for a while, and I actually said, "Are you guys going to be doing anything with this sculpture?" And they said, "Not for about 1 year, maybe 2 years from now." And I said, "Can I buy it back from you? I'd like to release it, and I'll do something else for you down the line." And so I bought the sculpture back from them, because most companies, they pay me for the sculpture, and then if it's an original design, I get a 10% royalty
nice.
on the sales and stuff. If it's something I created myself. So I got this back from them and started to shop it around. And sure enough, David Igo, who's a good friend of mine. I don't know if you guys know David. He's another pretty well-known sculptor and designer, worked at Sideshow and Tweeterhead and stuff. But he introduced me to the guys at Acro. And Acro is a company in Japan that's very well known for doing these. They did a line of Ultraman monsters, the kind of goofy looking rubber suit, zipper up the back of monsters from this old TV series. Only they would give them to the artist and they said, go crazy. And most of these sculptors and designers would make them look anatomically correct, like they were a real living creature. And they're so amazing. And I was a fan of all of these designs. And one of my favorite sculptors, Paul Komoda, had done a couple of them. And so Acro really loved this design. They said, we want to purchase it. We want to produce it. And then they started to give me assignments. And I did one of these. They're called Kaiju Remix, where they take the Ultraman monsters. I already did one. And I'm doing another one right now, designing it and stuff. So they've ended up being a great lead. This was actually, I know you guys were talking about that. I was looking at your pumpkins and I'm going, wow, it's kind of like ice sculpting or doing these amazing chalk drawings or sand sculpture. You look at it, they're amazing, get some good photos, but then it's gone after a couple or so. But I heard you're scanning them, and I think that's genius. I didn't even think about that you're able to scan them in, do a 3D print eventually and everything. So that sculpture was scanned, and then I did some work on it in a ZBrush. So
this one here, you mean?
Look, there's a two-port for you.
Yep.
Hang on. I'm zooming on you, Paul, only because that's a kick-ass monster you have there.
Well, we were just talking about him. So,
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So tell the story, because that was a full-size pumpkin scan, and then you made it smaller.
Yeah. So this was season 4, episode 11. Yeah, season 4, episode 11. The wheel chose expired aquatic. So I did a dead creature from the black.
A little dead one. Yeah.
Yeah. This is like a test paint. The new paint on them come out good, but these are all the magnets that I have for him now. But I also had, because it's scanned and I can print it on my printer at that scale, Ted Haynes printed me the original size, and it took 3 pieces, and it took almost 2 days to print it. Like, wow.
Make a full pumpkin size. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, that's great. How do I get it home? But that's back to me.
But it is awesome because now you have it for posterity. And it's a selling point that it was actually carved from a pumpkin. This is not a sculpture that was done in clay like everybody else is selling these little magnets and stuff. It was done in a pumpkin.
That becomes the extra steps. If you like, so now I take the time, no matter what I sculpt, if I like it or not, I'll scan it, becomes a file, and then I have Nomad from what we heard on last episode was that ZBrush will be coming to iPad because I'd rather work on my iPad.
Yeah, I think it's on. It's they released that.
Oh wow,
fantastic. So I'll go in and clean up that scan doing that. Because the way the scan reads it, it's just never as good as you want it to be. But then you can go back and clean up and then send it to the printer and wait 8 hours to see if it works.
Still so worth it though.
It's so cool. I mean, a couple of years ago, my standard answer for how do you make them last?
Is photographs.
Yeah, take a picture and throw it in the compost pile. That's it. That's all you can do. Pretty pictures last forever.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of the sculptures I was doing, like even the first few that I did King Corpse. I don't know if you guys have any King Corpse in here, but it's the one that's probably one of my most well-known sculptures because it won Toy of the Year when it came out, and it led to a lot of work. But when I did that sculpture, that's the first one I was trying to think of. I do not want to send this sculpture overseas. I'm so worried about. One time I had a customs guy open up the box and he carved right through the back of a sculpture with a box cutter.
Of course.
And so you just don't want that stuff to happen. So we had a scanning service here close by in Cleveland. I drove the sculpture out, got it scanned one day, and had the file sent overseas. Scanning was not nearly as good as it is now. Now it's like every little subtle thumbprint that you have on the sculpture is kept in the details. So now, anytime I'm working with actual traditional sculpture, it all ends up being digital. And then it helps the factory when they're cutting up the pieces and getting them ready for tooling. And now that I'm working in ZBrush, now I can actually tweak some things and maybe work a little bit on a detail that didn't quite get where I wanted it to get. Gives me like last chance to touch it digitally before it goes off to a client.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's an amazing tool, especially if it originates with your hands. Like you know, if it
It's
has
the best of all worlds, as far as
it's so personal. Like it's your baby for as long as you're creating. It's coming. Your brain is transmitting to your hands. I try to explain that to people, and it's like I sound high right now. I sound like a stoner trying to explain this, but like just.
But if you're a sculptor, you get it.
Yeah, your brain is just gonna do this, do that, and your hands are like, okay.
And a lot of clients, I have clients that contact me now and they say we don't want it digitally sculpted. They like the more rawness, the fact that you look at it, it is not symmetrical. And this is another one that was done. I will say that I did do a cheat where I actually liked one arm better than the other arm, so I did just flop it and change some of the fur details and stuff like that. But this was sculpted like traditionally and then taken into ZBrush, and I did a little bit of work on it. And then actually some work was done. I started working with Mondo. This was one of the early pieces I did with Mondo, which is one of my main clients now. And from time to time, they do a little work based on like, input from Marvel Comics and stuff like that. So
Cool.
Yeah, and this was one of my favorite comics when I was growing up. So they actually asked me this and the Man Thing. I don't know if you guys had seen the Man Thing sculpture that I had done, but that was the very first thing I did for Mondo. And that's where they came to me and they said, we want you to do a Marvel Comics character. And I'm going back and forth and everything. And I'm going, no, I know the one I want to do. I just don't think they're going to want to do it. And I pitched them the idea of doing Man Thing. And they said, wow, that's not what we were thinking you'd want to do, but it sounds great. And Marvel loved the idea. So, and that one went through, the design got approved right away. I kind of did my own thing with it. It's a character that's been, redesigned and redesigned over the years by every different artist that does the comic, does their own version. And so I was actually able to have some fun with it, doing a character that I didn't necessarily create, but I was still able to be creative with it.
That's great. They give you some freedom like that. That's
And Man Thing is in the deck.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'll get to Man Thing.
So the movie that Marvel did.
Yeah.
Was it Werewolf by Night?
Yes.
That had him in there, right? Yeah.
It did. And
oh yeah, I knew I'll find him. I know which one it is.
Little side story about that. And I hope it's okay to mention this because we were at Monsterpalooza not last year, but the year before, and we were going around to some studios. I was traveling with Artie Goldman, and so we ended up going to KNBFX, and I was walking through the shop, and this guy yells across the shop, and he goes, "James Groman!" And he comes walking across the shop, big, huge guy. He's got tattoos all over and everything.
Oh,
and it's Mikey
Rotella.
Yeah,
Mr. Rotella. Yeah, he did the work. I did.
Yeah, he did the Man Thing, and I had not heard that he was the one that actually had sculpted the big prop. And he came over and he goes, man, we had your sculpture sitting in the studio. He goes, look on Man Thing's shoulder. He's got a stump on his shoulder, and that's because you had a tree growing out of his back, and it's kind of a homage to your sculpture.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was one of the coolest parts of that whole trip, is hearing that.
That is awesome.
So afterward, I stayed in touch with him like for the next couple months and stuff, just because he was such a cool guy and such a talented sculptor.
He's great. He's great soup to nuts. I could hang out with that guy a million times.
Yeah, I'd like to hang out with him sometime and stuff. He seemed like he'd be a lot of fun.
I did find King Corpse, which is, I can see why the customs folks would be like, hang on a second, what am I looking at?
Oh yeah, this is a poster they did for.
Right.
Actually, it was the hang tag for the actual toy release.
What was the light bulb? What was the light bulb moment where you came up with the name? Like, did you do the sculpt first and then say, well, I got to name it because it's King Kong?
King Kong.
The idea was first because it was something I had pitched it to one other company that I wanted to do this, zombified gorilla. I didn't necessarily have the name yet. and they wanted me to do something else, but I wanted to do this. And another company, Instinct Toys, which is one of my best clients, one of the best relationships I've had in the designer vinyl toy genre, they actually love the idea. I did a design, and as I was doing the design, I pitched them the name, and the name stuck. And I don't know if you guys could see this. I have a copy of the King Kong armature back here on my shelf.
I'll zoom in on you real quick here.
Yeah, Sideshow did that a number of years ago. It's an actual casting of the original armature of King Kong from the 1933 film.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It was the thing that inspired me. That's something I didn't get into when I was talking about my origins. Is I saw that movie at my grandparents' house, and it changed everything, man. It's like
the OG black and white.
Yeah, the original.
Yeah.
It's like I saw it, and then when I was a kid, when I woke up the next day, I thought I didn't even see it. I thought it was something I dreamt.
Oh my God.
It goes, nothing's that cool. And dinosaurs, giant gorillas, beautiful blonde, all that stuff.
Got it all. Yeah.
Yep. And then I started to find out how it was made. And I think, it started to inspire me to be a maker myself, it's because so much hand craftsmanship went into that movie, building the armature, the rubber models and stop motion animation, and the paintings that they did, these glass paintings that were all the jungles and everything, and then they used real plants, and they built these amazing miniatures. And these guys were makers before they were makers, man. They were making amazing stuff. So a lot of that was a major inspiration for me. And of course, I had to do Kong's, my dude. So it's like I had to do a homage to him somewhere in my career. I've got some other Kong things planned. I haven't really pitched anybody yet, but this was one of the first big vinyl toys I did. And like I said, right out of the chute, we won Toy of the Year in New York for this one in 2017. And after that, everybody wanted a big, giant 12-inch James Groman sculpture. Everyone wanted a big 12-inch monster, a big 12-inch unaffordable piece of vinyl.
It's artwork. It's always affordable.
Yeah.
So this one right here is one of the original. This was the original release. We've probably done 20 different color waves of this by now.
Yeah. Well, that's the coolest part of it too, is when they become collectible and you get to this point where, like you said, everybody wants one. When you release a limited colorway, people lose their shit.
Yeah.
I
don't have that one. I don't have that one. I need that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are completists, it's like
you should make them wait in line at like the most random store in the world, like 3 days before.
Well,
just to get a ticket to reserve the chance to bid on one.
Well, that's what we do. That we actually do that. And they're called lotteries, and that's how a lot of these vinyl toys are sold. Like when King Corpse was first released, they announce it's going to be released. They say they're going to have a lottery. They give you a link to go and put in your email, and then they randomly pick like 30 names, and those 30 people get that release of King Corpse.
Oh my gosh, is that?
Then a few weeks later or a few months later they'll do another release, and like I said, they've done like 20, 25 releases of this guy by now in different colors. I have these in the back. This was very expensive, but these are wood.
Oh,
no way.
And they're all CNC.
Wow.
No way.
And they did a limited release of 30 of these too, and they were like $7,000. So they're amazing.
Oh my God, look at that. That's wood.
Yeah, and the ribs are a different species of wood.
Right.
The body is different from the heart on the inside. There's a black cherry one over here. This is another one.
No way.
So I know, isn't that amazing?
It's unbelievable.
That was something that one day they just sent me pictures of them and said, "Hey, we're going to do these. We're going to release these CNC carved wood King Corpses." And I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!" They come in a wooden box, about this big, all foam padded. It's got they have like little gold hinges and locks on them and stuff. It's like
total collector's
stellar piece.
Yeah. Wow. That's so damn cool. I love that stuff because Especially now, who comes up with the ideas to do that? By the way, like, are you getting a phone call? Yeah, we're going to do these CNC. Is somebody at the toy company, or who? I'm trying to think of who would actually make.
Yeah, it's actually the gentleman who owns the company, Hiroto Okubo. He's actually my partner, and so he's an artist. He does his own line of toys. He just was a big fan of Rotten Rex, which was my very, very first toy that I did. And then that's what led to King Corpse. He loved Rotten Rex. He goes, we got to do something together. And we ended up doing King Corpse. But so he's got great ideas as well. So he'll pitch me a color scheme and I'll just go with it. It's great. I don't always am the one that has to design everything. I love to see someone else. This particular one you have up on screen.
Yeah.
That was painted by that's not painted by me. That's painted by another artist.
Okay.
So,
well, that's like an aftermarket version.
Yeah, people will buy them, and some well-known painters will paint them up and then sell them themselves. Which it's okay. I think it's all great. If they're making some money, they bought it, they can do whatever they want and stuff. So, and this is I don't know if you guys know this old movie.
Oh wow! How do I?
But I don't know.
War of the Gargantuas.
Oh my gosh! No, I wouldn't have not have gotten that one.
Yeah, it's an old Japanese movie. I was approached to do a gallery show with there was this group of people that were getting together, a gallery show based on Godzilla, and they actually opened it up and they said it could be any movie from Toho, which is the studio that actually created Godzilla and did all the Godzilla movies. And they did this movie called War of the Gargantuas, which is these two giants that are big, kind of Bigfoot looking creatures. They're kind of brothers. There's a green one and a brown one, and they're fighting through the whole movie. And it's probably my favorite old Japanese monster movie other than Godzilla. And so I said, is it all right if I do a movie other than Godzilla? And they said, fine. I said, War of the Gargantuas. And they said, fine. And so this was a digital sculpt. This was probably my third or fourth digital sculpture that I ever did. And I printed it out relatively large, so I have an actual print of it right here.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it is big. Yeah.
There's the one brother. He's the evil one.
Okay.
And then on the other side, I did.
Oh, nice.
The good
one. Oh,
so
okay.
The person who bought the bust, they have both characters.
You get both.
The same
bust. Put them on a turntable, and you got 24.
Exactly.
360 views. That's so cool. Wow.
That's dynamite.
Yeah,
So
go ahead, Paul.
I was just saying, you've been digital sculpting for quite a while. Like
and these are two I did not do. Those are
what?
Yeah, these are two. Hey, it's a great story though, because
good story.
These are both Paul Komoda.
Okay.
And I was just helping my buddy David Igo was releasing these, and I said I'd do a post to help him. I'm trying to think if this was for his Kickstarter or just for his release. I think it was just the release of the toys. So I just posted the photo and said, hey, this is where you can come and get these things. They're great. And just trying to help out a friend.
Oh, I love that.
But they are amazing.
They're so elaborate. I mean, my God, that's wild.
Yep. I thought your facial expression was the best part of the picture.
Yeah. Just open the box. Surprise.
And is this Monsterpalooza or what? Yeah.
No, this is just a couple months ago. This was Mask Fest.
Oh wow! Okay.
Which they've had that in LA, they've had it in Philadelphia, I believe. Oh, Indianapolis, and then they had it in Cincinnati this year, which is
nice.
About 3 hours from me.
Stone's throw.
So that was my setup at the very beginning of the show. I was set up right next to Tom Keebler. Perfect. Which was very cool. It got slow at times, so we were able to just sit and talk and get caught up and everything.
That's so cool. Yeah, his stuff is otherworldly as yours is. I mean, I just imagine the conversations you guys have would, what are you gonna work on next? Ooh, it'd be like to be the fly in the room. It'd be kind of fun to.
Well, he does a lot of larger stuff, so I was definitely benefiting from people being drawn over, seeing stuff and go, whoa, and then they come over and they walk over to my table and stuff. So it was, and I did, being a mask show, I didn't think I'd do very well selling stuff, but I did really well. I mean, this was at the beginning of the show, and I think like a majority of this stuff ended up getting sold. So
that's perfect.
Well, what's funny, Jordu Shell.
He was right across from me.
Yeah, he he made it a point to say that Mask Fest is the artist's show.
Yep.
Right. So people go there to see the artists and see their work, where sometimes things get a little convoluted in different events. But he said when Mask Fest is all about the artist, and the people that go there are going to see the artist. So I'm not surprised you did well at all, because people were probably waiting in line at 6 a.m. to see your stuff. So
yeah, and they have Horror Hound, which is a big horror movie show upstairs. So Mask Fest is downstairs
at the same time.
So you're getting double draw into that place.
Yeah, you kind of have everybody that would come to that would want to see both. That's for sure.
And then you got guys like Joe Duchel, and I had Norman Cabrera was there.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Keebler, of course. And so they get some big name artists that draw people in, anyone that's fans of that type of stuff. So
Of course.
It's definitely, I love the show, and I'll go back next year. I think they'll be in Cincinnati again. Oh, and this was, I was contacted by another artist who said, hey, I'm doing some work for Slash, and he wants one of your aliens. And so we arranged it. I said, I'll sell you an alien, but you got to send me a photo. So he sent me a photo.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, I guess he's a big collector of this type of stuff. Anything, especially anything to do with the alien.
What a smart guy. I love it.
Yeah.
And he's an okay guitar player too, I guess.
Yeah, he's getting there.
Yeah, he's been in a band or two.
Oh, and this is a Ultraman monster that was done not for Acro, but I did it for 52 Toys, which is another Japanese company, and they actually said that they asked me which Ultraman monster I wanted to do, and there was one that was always my favorite. His name was Gamora, which this guy's based on. And
Okay.
I didn't do the rubber suit version. I did my own thing, made him look like more of a hunchback, and made him a little bit more skull-like features, and just went crazy with the skin details and the spikes on his chest and his tail. This is probably one of the biggest things I've ever done. He's probably about 27 inches long.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
And stands about 12 inches tall at the shoulders, but he's massive. Wow. So that's a sculpture that got away from me. I did not. It's like sometimes as you're building things up, you're just like, no, that's got to be bigger. That's got to be bigger.
Is this all Sculpey as well? Like the,
yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
All super Sculpey.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of folks, they love the forms. I mean, I love the forms in the head too. This one, I want to see more of it. It's just.
I think there is another one. I think there's a side profile that.
Oh, we have a side. That's right. Okay. Yeah, look at that.
Oh yeah, and this was the factory paint. This is how it was sold.
Wow, so, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, when you say factory paint, are you doing all the painting, or is it like?
No, I usually do a paint master where I send out. They send me one. Sometimes they send me a 3D print because the molds aren't done yet for the vinyl. Yeah. So then I'll do a painted version. I send it back to them. Their factories copy it. And
wow.
I tell this story all the time, but it just tells you how good the quality is at these factories. Is that when I got one of the first factory versions back, I thought they accidentally sent me my original back.
Wow.
And that's how good it was. So they're amazing. I can't say enough about what they're capable of overseas. And I got to believe a lot of this is hand painted.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how you do that with a machine.
Yeah, they make spray masks. Like King Corpse has like 70 something spray masks where it's like the sculpture has a mask that goes over the top of it, and maybe the eye is open, and then someone goes and sprays it. Then it has another mask, and that's for the teeth, and then just all these spray masks. So there's 72. I believe that a lot of these, there's no masks. They just have someone who's highly skilled going in and hand painting this stuff.
That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Cool. So we are running out of time. So I'm going to show a few more amazing sculptures here. But I tell you, it went by fast. It's not over yet. So, but we have a lot more to show. Of course,
that is so good.
This is my very first digital sculpture.
So cool.
Yeah, and this is the epitome of what I don't always get the ability to do it because of licensing problems. Like when you're doing a licensed character, sometimes you're kind of they draw the reins back. But what I really like to do is if I'm doing a movie-based character, this is probably one we got away with the most on this guy. The Christmas lights, the skull in the hand, the bear trap on his leg. He's got a baseball bat embedded in his back.
Oh,
taking little Easter eggs from the movie and putting them into a sculpture. I love doing that.
It's the best.
So this guy, I originally, it was one of my first digital sculptures, but I would have to say I did get, since it was one of my first, got a lot of help from Hector Arce at Mondo, who's a great, amazing digital sculptor, does a lot of their work. And I believe it was Tommy Hodges was another sculptor that worked on this a little bit. It wasn't, it actually, I have a design sketch. And since I was new to ZBrush, I'm trying to match my sketch, but not quite getting it. So what they did is they helped me try to get it closer to what my sketch originally looked like. And they did an amazing job. So
you got the little dog buddy, or the little, baby version of him right there. That's so
yeah. Cool. Trying to remember what the name of that. Drawing a blank.
I'm picturing the show in my head when he's running around the room, and
Yep.
So fun.
And this guy, he comes with two heads. There's a closed mouth head and then an open mouth head. So
of course, yeah. You got a mecha.
Yep.
I love the version of this. This
was done all digital as well.
So good. And that's one isn't digital.
No.
No, that's the big Mondo Godzilla. I did the sculpture slightly upsized, so he was shrunk down a little bit. He's 12 inches when you buy the toy. That's right there is about 15 inches. He's big.
That one's I love that size though. That's like clear a space. Yeah. No, we don't need the wedding album on that shelf. I have a new collectible.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Godzilla fan.
The push tank. Yeah.
So being able to do this was so fun. If you look on his feet in the original movie, they're looking at his footprints, the old black and white movie. They're looking at his footprints, and they find a trilobite, and so I put a couple trilobites stuck to his feet, just as like
all the Easter eggs. There couldn't be any bigger fan making these either. This is like for you to know all that you clearly had to be a kid watching it and drinking it in at the time.
Yeah, and part of it is sitting down and trying to think of what can I throw in this thing, making a list of little. I could probably try to put, because there's also in Godzilla 1984, there's a sea louse that attaches itself to Godzilla. It looks like some kind of undersea mollusk, and I put that on the tail. And so, that's just, sometimes I'll brainstorm with the folks at Mondo, and we just come up with a whole list of things. So I think that's if you want an exact replica of the character the way it looks in the movie, go somewhere else and buy that. I think if you're coming to me or stuff I do, it's my version with my added detail.
And that's what I love about it, because like all the stuff you have, I mean, like even jumping back to the Mecha Godzilla, like this isn't something you're gonna find anywhere but from you. This is like your version of it, which is and even more collectible to me, because otherwise you look at it, if it's correct from the movie, you're like, all right, well, where'd you get that?
There's 20 companies selling that.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
There's a little pic of it right now. That's
Cthulhu.
That's Cthulhu.
Yeah.
I couldn't say Cthulhu for years. I would always screw it up and just wouldn't even say it. I'd wait for somebody else to say it and go, yeah,
him. Yeah.
There he is. There he is.
Yeah, that's a hand painted. That's one I did. That's a one of a kind. I hand painted that one just to have a display model at a show.
How long does it take you to finish something like that with paint?
This guy, I wouldn't doubt he took me close to 3 days.
Whoa.
Wow.
So they are not quick paint jobs. I know guys that are way faster than me, but when you look at all those roots and everything, that's all.
Oh yeah. Well, even
paint every one of those little roots and mushrooms with those little spots on them. And
oh my gosh, yeah.
Do you ever yell at yourself and go, God damn it, why did I make this sculpture so detailed?
I've done that when I've done the design sketch, and when I'm done with the actual concept sketch and it's going into like Marvel or somebody to and I go, oh crap, I got to sculpt this thing. But it's all about just making it as cool as you can, and then worry about it later. There's always going to be. You're always going to be able to get it.
And you get to start the process again. Like you do that whole process of dreaming it up and making it the way you want it. Then you get to do it in a different medium. Like that's pretty cool. Translation is unbelievable.
It is. This character, when I first remember seeing it as a kid on the front of a comic just freaked me out. Like just absolutely. It was like, what in the living hell am I looking at?
Yeah.
Dope.
It was one I'd go down to the store with my buddies and everything, and they're looking for Spider-Man and Iron Man, and I'm looking for Man Thing.
Yeah, amazing.
That's-
Another. Yeah, this is right up your alley too. I love the detail and intricacies. I mean, just look at the skulls around around his belly there.
Yeah, some of his past victims. And this was Rotten Rex, which was truly probably the first vinyl toy I ever did. And I was contacted by Lulubelle Toys because of Madballs. They said, would you like to do something for us? And they said they wanted it to be 12 inches tall. And so it led to all this large stuff. All of a sudden I got to be known as the guy who does these big 12-inch, 15-inch figures and stuff. So this is Rotten Rex with the replacement head. I did 2 heads. One was a T-Rex head, and then this is, of course, a Triceratops.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's awesome. You can swap them out.
Yep.
You must have been pumped when you became the guy that could make bigger sculptures too, because you didn't have to make them so damn small.
Yeah, it just makes it more difficult when I'm doing something small, because I still do some little stuff. Just everybody wants the big stuff. It just makes it a little less affordable for people. So I do need to start doing some smaller, more affordable pieces.
Nah, no, you don't.
You're
doing great.
You don't need to. You can.
Little interesting bit about this one is this was one that I had designed it. It's basically it's a creature that was stitched together by different dinosaur parts. So it's got a T-Rex arm. It's got an Allosaurus arm. It's got, I don't know where the wings came from. They're, kind of turned it into a dragon. So he's got all kinds of parts stitched together. And when I finished the design, I got contacted by DC Comics to do my own versions of Batman, Joker.
Oh, right on.
And Two-Face and Killer Croc. I couldn't turn it down, but I couldn't do both jobs. So the company let me hire Dope Pope for this. So he actually showed the sculpture.
Nice.
And I did really highly detailed front, side, back views, and then he worked from that.
Okay. Yeah. I think remember me running into him at the last Monster Palooza. He's an incredible talent.
Well, he knocked it out of the park on this one. I'm looking at this. Now that I'm working digitally, I look at the skin detail and I go, man, it's like I hope I can do that someday.
So good.
Yeah, this is Horn. This was originally it's a figure that I did that had a mastodon head. So it's kind of like Rotten Rex that had a replaceable head.
Oh yeah, sure.
The woolly rhino, or you could get the woolly mammoth head.
Oh, that's so
cool. I love the skull that just sits on that horn.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Badass.
And these guys are kind of like ancient gladiatorial monsters. So they have weapons. Instead of a hand, he's got this like fossilized axe on his hand. And if you look real close, you can see bones, trilobites, skeletons inside that are fossilized in the axe and in the club.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Of course.
Love the stories that go into these. Like the backstories are the best.
Oh, yeah. And I used, you can't really see the anatomy too well, but I had one of my reference images. I wanted these guys to look like they were ancient. They've been treading the earth forever. I had these photos of Arnold Schwarzenegger with his shirt off, and they're recent. So he's an older guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's still a big cut dude. It's just all gravity's kind of
flabby.
On it.
Yeah.
And so I used that for this, and it was really effective. It was it got the feel for the character that I wanted.
Yeah.
Wow.
So cool. Man. I think the part that I love about like the endless ideas you have, which are just, that's the part that blows me away. It's like, I don't know how the hell you keep coming up with these amazing things. And, you're using references, of ancient creatures, but at the same time, let me pull a little Arnold in this one. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to jack them up.
Well, and that's why I was asking you guys about using reference on your pumpkins, because most every sculptor I know, when they're doing any kind of a anatomical piece and stuff, my studio is always full of imagery.
Yeah.
Thing. I had root systems from like jungle trees and swamp trees, real mushroom reference. The snake, I looked up a real snake to get the scale patterns right. So It's all about the reference. That's very helpful. And then I think imagination, as much as some people have a gift, I think with me, it's more a muscle that I exercise all the time. It's like, if you stop doing it, you're not going to be as good at it. And I've been doing it for so long. It's almost like I have this toolbox in my head where I know how to reference things or try to make a list or try to create something from nothing and then kind of like tweak it, you know? So
Sure.
I think it's a lot of people. It's like, they do it for a career, they get really good at it.
Yeah, I'll say. Well,
Cheers
clearly,
to
and I hate to
that.
again,
Well done, sir.
only because I'm the one turning some of these slides. We got to get to this one. And is there, James? I hate to say we're at the end of our journey, at least for today. We'd love to have you back anytime.
Gotta have him back.
Sure.
We got a million more pictures we didn't even show, which is painful to me because there's so many good ones for you. But anywhere else we can find you other than Instagram and of course Big Cartel?
I actually am on Facebook, James Groman LLC, James Groman Design LLC. I have the store where just have paintings. I don't really sell the toys on the store. I just have paintings and T-shirts and stuff like that. Some comics that I used to do. And then I will be at Designer Con, not this weekend, but next weekend, which is in Las Vegas. Anyone that's into toys, I'll be there. And I guess I'm going to be part of a Mondo panel where we'll be talking about toy design and toy concepts and some of the things we're working on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. Love the guys at Mondo.
Boy,
Yeah,
my
Mondo.
Designer Con. So if you like cool shit and a cool city.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've only been there once.
Can't go wrong. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it.
I went there once. I can't go back without a chaperone. It's not for
Yeah,
me.
or somebody. I have to leave my wallet in the room. That's
I
the only
need,
thing.
you know what? You know those kid leashes that they have? I need
Yeah,
an
with
adult-sized
little
version.
monkey,
of the kid leash.
the little
Yes.
monkey with the little tail. Yeah.
Yeah, like a cattle prod.
Cattle prod, yep.
That was probably a better idea.
Put your wallet down.
Nice. Well, James, we can't thank you enough for joining us, man. We'd love to have you back. Obviously, now is not enough time to get through all this, but it's always a pleasure to hang out with you and see all the amazing stuff that Matt and I are inspired by every time we attempt something as cool as what you do.
Your stuff's great. It's like I greatly admire anyone that can do the work that you do with something that you can't go back and hit delete, go back or
add more
for the first time.
Don't worry, 3D printers will be printing pumpkins in no time. We'll look back on these as the golden ages before. In my day, you couldn't fix a mistake.
Nice. You could grow one with a push of a button. Now they can.
Hey, listen, I'll be first in line. Trust me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, though, guys. This was really
Of course. Absolutely. This is where you can find us. We're always on all these silly socials and all that stuff, but then YouTube is kind of where all these are housed. But we just can't thank you enough because we are always indebted to guys who are OG sculptors and creators and just again giddy to have you on with us. Giddy, that could be the next. Is that one of the next things?
You are so stuck on giddy. It's Chipper.
You had Chipper. Yeah.
All right, I'll be Chipper. I'll be Chipper the rest of the night.
Oh my goodness. Fantastic. Yes.
All right.
Follow up what Matt said. We love talking to the coolest artists that we know, and you are definitely one of the coolest artists that we know. So thank you so much again.
Man, I appreciate it.
Beautiful. Well, from us to you, thank you everybody that tuned in. We appreciate
thanks,
you.
everybody.
And we will see you again on another Carvers and Creators next time. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks.